Okay, now that we have our power bowl installed and our water connections, we have to make sure that we have the correct water pressure for the type of system that we're going to use. Now, we know from talking earlier that that could be screen feed products like this, where we're actually pushing the water up into the base of this container so we create an erosion. And as that erosion is created, the product will fall down and replace the product that has been eroded. So we only need pressure to hit the bottom of this container, maybe about this high. However, when we're using a solid product such as this, there is no screen, so we want to make sure that we have enough water coming into this that it's going to spray right to the top of the bowl. Because if it doesn't, what's going to happen is there'll be a constant flushing of water going into this, and the alarm will go off because there's not enough water coming into the solid to disperse it all. So the customer, to stop the alarm from going off, is just going to take that container out and put a new one in, and that's just a waste of product. Okay, now we're going to connect the line from our power bowl. So I've taken this vinyl tube and I've connected it, and I want to try to make sure that this line is as direct and as short as it possibly can be. Now, as we talked about earlier, I've got this installed pretty high for the purposes of demonstrating, but I want to try to make sure that this is as direct as it can be so that there's no place that this can sag, so it doesn't create problems for you in the installation later. With the power bowl comes this 70-degree elbow, and most of the dish machines that you're going to install to, the chemical connections have already been made. In other words, somebody's gone in and they've drilled the holes inside the machine, so you're probably going to duplicate what they've already done. And if you're not happy with the location that they've selected, you of course can always change it and just leave a plug in that hole. But I'm just going to use the hole that's in the side of this machine to make this connection.
Go installing a probe in there.
And now I'll tie wrap both ends of this connection so we don't have problems with these slipping off. My next job is I want to run my poly lines for my rinse product. And so I need to run from the pump to my injection point, which is on top of the dish machine, and then to my pump from the chemical pail, which I'm going to place underneath the table below. So I have my poly tubing that comes with the dispenser, and I'm going to run it through here. And this is my discharge line, and then I need to run my discharge line across the back of the machine and then into my injection point inside of the dish machine. And this is going to carry my rinse additive into the freshwater rinse. So every time the freshwater rinse comes on, I put a little bit of rinse additive in to break the surface tension of the water and help the dishes dry spot-free. It's a rinse injection fitted, taken apart, and this is the male end that actually threads into the rinse connection, and the duct bill, which acts as a check valve inside, and then the connection for the poly tubing. And this all connects to the rinse connection out here at the top of the machine. You'll notice that there's a connection in the front, and there's also a connection in the back. So should the customer decide to operate this machine as a low temp, we can add a sanitizer and put another rinse injection fitting in to make that connection as well. But since we're hooking this up today as a high temp, what we're going to do is just use this front connection for our rinse additive. So I'm going to put my connection back together. We also have this in a high pressure version. So inside of that there's a spring and a poppet, but it comes apart the same way, and from the outside they both look the same. So depending on which one you get, this is a service part, so at some point from opening and closing, the duckbill or the high pressure poppet could also wear out, and these parts can be purchased and replaced. So I've already taken the liberty of taping the threads to the base of this just so I don't have any leaks, and I'm just going to thread this in, and now I can make my connection for my rinse. And I've put my nut on the end of the poly tube. I just knocked it in just about 1/4 of an inch, and I can just pop this on top and thread this in.